Today I will be speaking about the film The Pillar of Autonomy. This film was produced by the Zapatista media collective Los Tercios Compas. The Zapatistas are a multi-ethnic group composed of Tzotzil, Celtal, Tozolabal, and Xol peoples who declared war against the Mexican government and army in January 1, 1994. After 500 years of slavery and oppression, to rebel against neoliberalism in several towns of Mexican southern state Chiapas. After 12 days in conflict, the Mexican government declared a ceasefire and invited the Zapatistas into negotiations. But after almost 30 years, there is still no resolution. Mexican government continues to engage with the market and free trade economy agreements, and the Zapatistas continue to deny any governmental aid while they are continuously harassed and attacked by paramilitary groups which are suspected to be aided by the government. Before continuing, I would like to mention that I am making use of still images coming from the film by following the terms established by its authors. Reproduction without population purposes, circulation in the opposite direction, and non-consumer consumption are authorized. As you can see, their logo is a cat dog putting the watermark where it should, that is, below and to the left. After the Zapatista uprising, several national and international reporters and documentarians arrived at their territory aiming to tell the story of Zapatistas from an external point of view. Along this way, Alexandra Halpin, founder of the Chiapas Media Project, arrived in Zapatista territory for the first time in 1995 while producing a documentary for an NGO from the United States. While the external journalists were getting their stories, several people in the community came up to me to ask about my Hi8 camera, where I bought it, how much it cost, etc., clearly demonstrating an interest in an awareness of this technology and an obvious desire to communicate their message to the outside world. This type of experience made Halpin aware that the Zapatistas could benefit from the technical knowledge of video production and started to discuss the possibilities of conducting video workshops within the Zapatista community. Between 1998 and 2012, Chiapas Media Project trained more than 200 people in basic video production and built and equipped 5 regional media centers for the production and post-production of digital video and audio. Chiapas Media Project was an initiative of an international and heterogeneous group of people such as Alexandra Halkin, Guillermo Montefortes, Tom Hansen, Jose Manuel Pintado, Fabio Mentis, and Paco Vázquez, who built alliances between them and several other agents. The first workshops within Zapatista communities began in February 1998. This date is inscribed in what was called the most violent period between the Zapatistas and the Mexican government, from January to June 1998. The first workshop happened 2 months after a paramilitary group massacred 19 women, 14 girls, 4 boys, 8 men, and 4 unborn in Acteal, Chiapas. For the Zapatistas, taking video and other media in their hands was not for entertainment nor artistic self-expression. They learned how to make films as a weapon to physically and epistemically defend themselves, creating audiovisual linguistics that are radically distant from the narrativization techniques that most urbanized and westernized filmmakers employ when approaching non-westerners. Since the Zapatistas have created films for both external and internal audiences. Although there is not enough documentation about the internal use of video, the text Video as a Tool for Change, Gender Discourse in Zapatista Indigenous Communities from 2008, written by Claudia Magallanes Blanco, explains how the Zapatista film We Are Equal helped open the conversation about gender equality within the Zapatista community. Magallanes Blanco describes how after filming more than 30 hours of interviews and observational footage, it was agreed by consensus among all members of the community that it was important to have screenings of the raw material and discuss these issues in public. Zapatista videos are designed as audiovisual didactic tools for sharing information concerning their modes of living in rebellion. As Erika Kusi Wortham wrote in her book Revolutionary Indigenous Media, they capture how Zapatista civilian communities apply basic revolutionary principles that resist market logic, such as an inalienable relationship to land, to actively protect their autonomy and build their futures. After the Chiapas Media Project completed their work in the formation of videographers, there was an internal necessity within the communities to unite all the Zapatista communities communication teams in a single body that manages all the media for both internal and external communication. In 2014, the communication teams merged and formed Los Tercios Compas, a body whose members come from all the Zapatista regions. This was an answer to the accumulated discomfort of the Zapatistas with the inability of the national and international media to conduct and present analytical research journalism in the dawn of cybernetic information. As their spokesperson, the Subcomandante Galeano, said during a press conference in 2014, the paid media has presented something that is marvelous within capitalism, because it is one of the few times in which capitalism has turned non-production into a commodity. Supposedly, the job of the media was to produce information, circulated in a way that it is consumed for their different publics or receptors, and capitalism has achieved for the media to earn without producing, that is to say, for not informing. From then on, Los Tercios Compas became the sole output for covering events and sharing them through the internet. Los Tercios Compas define themselves as a collective dispersed in calendar and geography, and they would be completely anonymous if not because their members are betrayed by their irreverent rebellion. They are the mass media of the Zapatistas and function every time they can, which is not very often. It is formed by human and animal beings, though sometimes they are not differentiated from one another. In 2014, Xochitl Leiva Solano wrote, Zapatista Video is part of an alternative rebel organizing process. It challenges the tyranny of writing by reivindicating the orality of communitarian communication. It challenges the monopoly of imperial languages, English and Spanish, by being recorded in the language of their Mayan authors. The importance of producing videos in their own languages needs to be understood in terms of the epistemological racism that is so common within Mexico and the Americas, where the mestizos and European descendants are often blinded to the structural racism imposed upon the heterogeneous ethnical groups who are commonly referred to with the umbrella concept indigenos. Several people who are referred to as indigenous grow without knowing so. As an example, the mixed linguist Yasnaya Aguilar mentions in a 27th article, the consciousness of being indigenous was born within her as she arrived in the city. To defend themselves from epistemic warfare and ethnocidal attacks, the notion of video machete appears as a necessary double-edged sword. This conceptualization of video was shared to Paco Vázquez of the Chiapas Media Project by a Zapatista filmmaker. Video is a new machete. It can be used as a weapon to defend oneself or as a tool to build and create. The machetes and their variations are a common tool used in agricultural practices all around the world. As a tool in the hands of people living in rural areas, it has also been used as a weapon of self-defense against structural oppression on several occasions in countries such as Puerto Rico, Mexico, Philippines, and South Africa. In its regular agricultural use, it aids in food production and situates its human user in the life cycle of the territory. Machete users possess a privileged proximity to the soil itself, the concrete, direct realm of the agriculturist. Therefore, El Pilar de la Autonomía is a video machete that works in both directions. Within Zapatista communities, the creation of video machetes aids self-determination towards the achievement of structural change, as happened with the case of We Are Equal. Towards external audiences, Zapatista video machetes can cause a structural wound in the capitalist realist episteme of a Westerner observer, while offering information in a didactic form that contains the capacity of healing the damaged ontological and epistemological formations of the Western self by telling and showing the possibility of organized communal life outside of the free market economy. Such is the case of El Pilar de la Autonomía. One of the particularities of El Pilar de la Autonomía is that throughout its 30-minute duration, the voices of several Zapatistas complete each other's ideas, making it impossible to discern if the verbal discourse is constituted as a multi-agent interview or if it was previously written and collectively narrated. It is especially relevant for us to notice how their communal mode of socio-political organization is reflected through every aspect of the film. Even though there is no cookie-cutter Zapatista structure, it is known that the community assembly is the most important first-level decision-making organism. And each community elects the representatives to participate in the general command. As the Mayan Guatemalan theorist Gladys Tulsul have said, I understand a system of communal indigenous government, the plural plots of humans creating historico-social relations that have a body, force, and content in a concrete space. Communal territories that produce government structures to share, defend, and recuperate the material medium for the reproduction of human and animal life. In El Pilar de la Autonomía, the Zapatista filmmakers share with us their cosmotechnical approach to eco-social communal life. But the ideas expressed by the individual subjects appearing in front of the camera are not constrained to an individual mode of experience. Instead, what they express is a communal experience to individual subjects. This ontological variation seems to be elementary for communal life. Arturo Escobar describes it as follows: relational form of being, knowing and doing, defined as those socio-natural configurations in which nothing pre-exists the relations that constitute it. Instead, everything is deeply constituted in relation to everything else. Therefore, we can understand this film as the container of an intersubjective experience, which irradiates from the communal and concrete realm that is entangled with the ecological, psychological, and social landscape of the Zapatistas. In her 2002 book, Zapata Lives, Lynn Stephen writes, since many Zapatistas have come to the region within the past 40 to 60 years, their shared culture and identity is built out of their political experience and participation. In El Pilar de la Autonomía, Zapatistas generously share with us where they are in terms of their social, political, agroecological, and medical models of relational organization. They also mention that they are trying to recover pre-Columbian knowledge and interview their neighbors who continue to receive precarious aid from the government. The Zapatista model of cultural creation exceeds the westernized allocation of the concept culture because the culture of indigenous communities such as the Zapatistas is never museified nor sterilized to the market economy, and its accessibility is not dependent on economic or educational affordability. Zapatistas' cultural production is relationally engineered, sociopolitically implicated, and intersubjectively concrete because the cultural objects which integrate it are of public importance. For urbanite filmmakers and other cultural practitioners who are enmeshed within and informed by the capitalist realism episteme, it's useful to pay attention to Los Tercios Compas because they are sharing with us something that can aid us to overcome this stage of brutal globalization. Thanks a lot for listening.